The view's incredible. Camel, lying this desert horizon at night and drum music tambourine at midnight was different and peaceful. Tour of monument and the cultural site were very instructive, and the bonds we formed in our group was very strong. Days in and out, lying on a mat, jumping in pools, eating around long tables, crossing desert was our experienced way to connect with everyone at night. We'll go clubbing, but towards the last week, men start to follow us on tip to the city and in hotel always. Once I got stuck heading back to my room in an elevator, and even the staff were loaded with harassing guys. I remember trying to escape to hotel by running down the stairs, trying to find my group, but everyone had spread out, in and out of the swimming pool, and I couldn't find anyone. It was a huge resort, and I had met so many people that in every corner I'd have to stop and say hello. Hello, 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 damn guys. They just can't get enough of me. I'm just too damn good looking, I remember thinking. I finally recognized a girl in the water. She was literally trapped between 6 guys playing water polo. And I came to help her, and we just screamed out loud, "Ah!" and finally ran out of the water as fast as we could. Leaders were run down from all these chaotic activities and decided to cut the trip short and called out families. I was put in quarantine for 2 days, accused of provocative attempt toward Tunisian, which was totally false. I believe that one of the women camp counselor didn't like me for some reason unknown. Everyone voted for my freedom, but the boss refused. I ended up dating a cute Chinese guy on my last day, and we all sang in the back of the bus for the rest of the drive down to this airport of Tunis. This end. New story. How did I get here? 2007. Back from my 6 months tryout in France after moving to this US in 2000, I realized that things and people had changed, and I threw myself back in an almost immediate dangerous situation. I felt confused and rushed and lost of items and money because of this extreme chaos roller coaster experience and people. I'm going to Air International, Air Academy downtown, Vancouver, WA to train and get hired as a flight attendant. We living in 4-bedroom apartment. We go camping, check the Multnomah Falls, drive up to Empty Rainer, St. Helen, Empty Hood, study hard and play hard. But for me it was mostly studying. I didn't want to mess this up. I was second in a class of 30. I'm rarely ahead. It will take lots of mental focus for me because of my ADHD and dyslexia to score only A and B. 2 weeks before graduating, my financial loan was revoked for a prior loan in default, but they forgot to mention this during my admission process, and I was given a loan at the time I started class, and now I had to leave and worked on a cruise ship in Oregon State. I stayed with a classmate who got evicted for throwing a wild ladies' man party in our school campus apartment, and things go really bad for him at this end. But the guy would make you pee in your pants. He's a hysterical, out of whack funny. He drinks so much, partied too much, and decided to choke me one night after I must have said something to trigger it by mistake. I remember him showing me his garage full of women's shoes, clothes, accessories, name, brand new, that he would collect after each woman would move out of his place. I was a little curious to know why all this stuff was there. This didn't sound too clean to me. His story about driving taxi at night and running a call girl biz, something he recalls numerous times and was very proud of. I ended up in a giant guy taxi driver, underground cave, apartment. While waiting to start my new job, my contract was signed for a 6-month salary minimum of the Columbia Queen cruise ship. Fast forward, I'm pregnant, oh no, from an Eddie Murphy copycat guy from Alaska, and a 5-foot-high persona and size. He set me up. I remember him telling me he had 2 women that he'd fathered, and he was seeking that next one. Seriously, couldn't make sure we'll be together longer than 2 weeks. But he figures that it will force me into a lifelong secret relationship with him, fighting over parental rights. I don't think so, asshole. Sorry for my French. I politely begged the captain to port me so I could get an abortion. I was already at 4 months of pregnancy, and I had my taxi guy to get me out of there. This is who? The man who ended up fathering me. Yes, my future son's father, my fertilization experiment. A few months later, on the day of my 27th birthday, my abortion was scheduled. And I remember being butchered like I was awake. As I was halfway awake, I remember talking with my parent while being in recovery and felt great. It was like I awoke from the dead. I must have been those strong drugs that gave me during my anesthesia. 6 months later, I undergo a study in Portland, OR, for egg donor. I'm being accepted and given 3 months of continued doctor's visit, meeting, routine check, class, so one day I can receive a letter of refusal with no explanation. I called, but no details were given, no compensation for my time and gasoline. I had spent nights and days wondering what could be wrong with my ovaries. Then I figured that it had to do with my ovaries cyst removal surgery. In learning process, I checked out all my possible ways to conceive. Immediately imagine, what if I couldn't conceive anymore? I had an abortion in 2000, then 2007, just before the cyst, so it was possible. I thought this can't be happening to me. I had those abortions because I was not married and ready to be a mother and wanted to bring a children to this world with no parents. I got worried and found myself pregnant with that taxi driver from across my flight attendant school. The same guy who picked me up from the cruise, and we ended up sharing an apartment. And there I was pregnant a few months later with my actual son of today. After 4 months around him, I noticed something was seriously wrong with him and wanted nothing to do with him from that day on. That's when all the stalking and harassing began on his part. But during my pregnancy, I was alone and extremely tired from these birth vacuum techniques they use, but also from stress, and being alone isn't fun. My family was all the way in Florida, and I had no contact with anyone. I would send a few letters to my brothers and call twice a year as my parents for occasions. My mother did call me on my hospital day and sent me a lot of gifts for the baby and visited us for a few days after the birth. I chose to take advantage of his supportive grandmother and farm sister who wanted to throw me 2 baby showers. So I went along until I got really pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant when I finally started to escape him, and my son was 2, and had when I finally got rid of him. I moved to France. I moved from an apartment. I stayed in an emergency shelter for a month. This psycho harassed me and stalked me, for no good reason but to harm me and cause me to fail and sabotage everything I work on, every manipulative and sneaky ways possible. I had never seen so much ugliness in the world until I met him. But maybe the purpose of this encounter was for me to see it, to be aware of the sociopath persona, and not allow others like this to enter my life again. I lived with a very disturbed, mentally ill man who broke my head every day with his nonsense, insanity world. There was no arrangement or compromise to be agreed upon. There was nothing I could do to make him stop his brainstorming manipulation crap. I stayed awake days and nights, as much as I could. I was drowning, hurting, being exhausted, and isolation was near. My good intentions wanted to believe that there was some good in him. I thought that my long, young, wild European life could endure the worst of any problems or adventure. But until I met that white trash. Hello world, I was blind. He showed me the dirt road, the sick-minded individual, cruelty and mental illness in every corners and pain in every ways. I don't know why he needed to crush me so bad. I figure he was jealous of my upbringing. It's sad when you give time and patience to someone and they abuse you. 16 years older than me, and I hated him. But now I feel sorry for his existence, and he's lucky he's not sitting in jail right now.